In time, potentially, nothing is impossible to them that believe. Receive, conceive, achieve, and live by the dream. Walk the talk and talk the walk and mean what you say. Throw the old life up. Yeah, I've got potential to be what I dream. I can see it. I believe I can be in time potentially. Time potentially. In time potentially. Oh, in time potentially. You gotta be patient in time potentially. In time potentially. Oh, you know it's right. Whoever dreamed that I could be great example of what man could achieve. I never knew that I could go to any place my heart said so. Now I know nothing is impossible to them that believe. If I believe, receive, conceive, achieve, and live by the dream in time. Oh.
We're gonna be getting started shortly, Larry.
I want you to give me your undivided attention because I'm going to give you some advice. We've had an amazing, just a fractional glimpse at how to design your future. We've said it's about finding your passion, it's about setting goals, it's about developing a plan, it's about cultivating habits. That's really what taking control of the direction of your change is all about. And whatever you read, and you know, I read in this field constantly, I'm constantly reading in this field. It's all going to boil down to these basic essentials. You're going to find your passion. You're going to set goals. You're going to develop a plan. You're going to get motivated and take action. You're going to cultivate habits. And of course, all of that requires a winning psychology, a way of thinking, a state of mind, an attitude that takes you to a new altitude. All of these things are proven aspects of what it takes to succeed, whether success means for you career and financial success, whether it means domestic success, whether it means being a humanitarian and giving your life for great causes. Design your future. Design your future. It's about finding your passion. It's about setting goals. It's about developing a plan. It's about
Hey, good people, God bless you, and welcome to tonight's Kingdom Conversation with me, your host, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop, live and direct. Yep, I'm absolutely live tonight, and I just feel elated to see so many of you, our good friends and family from around the world, logging in. Daniel, hi. Yvette, how you doing? BK, Charlene, Robert, Cynthia, Johnny, Johnny from Wakanda, Cynthia, Kingdom, Lucy, Henry. Look, just great to see you guys coming in. I trust that you're all doing well and that you've got some testimonies of God's goodness and God's faithfulness. And we started an epic series last week on the real wealth transfer and getting on the right side of the real wealth transfer before it's too late. And it was an epic session. And even I've watched it again because it's just it's kind of loaded, right? So I'm going to encourage you because this is going to be the second installment in this series. Hey, Helen, good to see you. Hey, Dylan. Hey, Kenbun. Martina, and George. If you didn't get last week, then I'm going to encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and watch last week's because it's a great setup for what we're going to do this week. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. And then if you click the bell for notifications, YouTube will tell you whenever we're going live. And I think it's important to know now more than ever before when we're going live, because we're about to upload a lot of new content to YouTube, and I'm really excited about that. Actually, this coming week, this coming Tuesday, will be the launch of my new podcast. Hold on a second. Let me say that again. This coming week will be the launch of my new podcast. And it's called the Blessed Business Podcast, in which I'm sharing my best coaching tips and strategies and systems, principles and concepts for business owners, entrepreneurs, and people who are looking in that direction. And it's a different kind of a program. It's not so much slides. It's just kind of, it's me in the studio talking to camera, and I've already lined up some great guests. And so as the time rolls on, we'll invite some guests into the discussion. And then the podcast is going to be available on all the platforms. So it's going to be uploaded to YouTube every Tuesday. And then ultimately it's going to be available on the Apple platforms, the Android platforms, Spotify, etc. And you'll be able to pick up the Blessed Business Podcast. So this will be a good time to subscribe to the channel, because we're literally getting ready to just upload so much
Mic check.
Awesome content.
Larry, can you hear me?
Those of you that are entrepreneurial will benefit immensely from the podcast, because I'm giving some of my best tips and pointers and signposts for kingdompreneurs, right? Kingdompreneurs. So it's going to be a blessing. Other thing I'd like you to do is to go ahead and like the post. If you like the post, then just click like, right? Because that really helps YouTube decide what it's going to throw up in search engines. And then let's be as interactive as we possibly can. I mean, I can see everything that you're saying. I can see your fire emojis, your heart emojis, your hand claps. I can see your comments. I can see your chats with each other. I mean, it's fantastic, actually. So I can see it all. I just can't respond to it in writing, but I can respond online. So let's make this as interactive as we possibly can, and let's enjoy the time that we share and that we spend together. I really appreciate each and every one of you, especially that core that literally plug in every week without fail. You're like the engine of this uh, of this outreach. You're the engine, you're the core, and I celebrate you and thank God for you. And it just cheers my heart to see you every time that I actually log in, and hope and pray that one of these days we'll get to see and meet each other in person. That will be absolutely epic. So very much looking forward to that. All right, are you ready to go deep tonight? Like, are you ready to go deep? I see Cherise Harris has got fire emojis up in the chat box. And you guys are ready to go in deep, because we're going to go in deep, and I'm going to kind of unpack a mystery, right? A mystery, a secret of the kingdom, and in fact the very secret to wealth. And we're talking about the wealth transfer, and I made a case for the wealth transfer in the last session. And really, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of exactly how this happens and what exactly is happening and how we can.
Larry, mic check. Amen. Amen. All right, let's see if we can get Larry online. We're at the top of the hour. At the top of the hour. Looks like Larry's audio is trying to connect. Good day, good people out in social media world. Um, this is installment 2. We did it so nice on yesterday, we had to do it twice. We had Dr. Cedric on yesterday, and we had a chance to really go deep. And we talked about the chronic illnesses that affect Black and brown people. And Dr. Cedric had 7 protocols, which, if taken, can greatly enhance, impact, and make people's lives better. And we thoroughly enjoyed that. On today, if our technology will work, my brother Larry Sutton, I'm gonna put up his few things about him now, is going to join us. Is going to join us, and he's a dynamic brother. He is a dynamic brother. He has spent a better part of his days serving our government in the capacity of a veteran, and now this good brother is working to empower our youth. So, still trying to get his microphone and his camera up and running. And I will actually do what I know I do. Let me give him a quick call to see if there's any technical challenges, and we will keep it moving. All right. All right. All right. And then I'm gonna just do a brief introduction. Please leave your message for 5853034. Hello, hello.
Hi, my name is Michelle Matthews. I was
Oh, hey, Michelle. Yeah, you were at our Rockingham property. Am I right? Okay. And you want to know if there's any vacancies for this evening? Okay. Hang on. Yeah, let me see. Obviously, we love to work with our previous guests um, because we want to make your stay as easy as possible. Give me like 30 seconds just to look at our calendar. And if we can help, if we can accommodate, we absolutely will. Um, Give me 30 seconds and let's see what we can do for you. All right. So so Michelle, you're looking for how many days for your stay? Just only tonight? Okay. Okay. So I'm looking at room 2. I could get you into room 2 for the night, and let me send you over that information. And so room 2. So Michelle, I was actually in the process of doing a podcast, so I'm online trying to get you situated. But hey, it's no problem. I teach people how to successfully run these types of businesses. So they're seeing me live and direct trying to take care of our clients. So hang on. All right. So room 2. Oops, that's wrong property. Hang on. Yep, it's the same. It's the same place you were at last time. Um, yep, no problem. It is close to the hospital. And so I'll actually have to give you, you have the code for the front door. I'll just need to give you the code to get into the second room. So where's my link? Okay, there's my link. All right, so I'm going to send you this link in the previous Airbnb chat. You should be getting that in about 30 seconds. You went it, your Bluetooth went in and out. Say it again. No, go through the link that we were communicating on before. It's a little bit of a shortcut. Okay, Miss Matthews, here you go. Here's the link. And I will go back into the settings so that you can book after 4 o'clock. Give me 30 seconds to do that. And you should be good to go. I will send you the code in the chat. Yeah, because the codes change every time someone checks in and checks out for security purposes, but for the front door, you have it. And I'll change our 2-day minimum to a 1-day minimum because you are a returning guest, and I will make it a same day booking, and I will change the time to, okay. All right. So you have the link. You should be able to get into it and reserve that spot. Okay. All right. You got it. Bye-bye. Okay. That was different. Hey guys, while we're waiting for Brother Larry, you guys just saw me real time take care of one of our Airbnb guests. And normally we there's a lot of hacks and little tips and tricks I share with you guys. Normally we don't actually do bookings after 4 p.m. If we haven't had proper opportunities to vet them. Given that she is a returning guest, we didn't have to go through that. What I am doing now is I'm sending her the check-in codes so she can actually get into the place. And normally that would have been done using an auto message that would have gone out at 12 p.m. But because she just booked, that would not go out automatically. So I have to send it out manually. So that is what's going on right now. And I'm going to call Mr. Sutton back after I take care of this guest and see if we can connect real time. All right, while I do that, Well, I do that. Let me turn the the bishop back on, the money bishop, and we can learn a little bit more about wealth.
Spiritual roots. So I'll give you two passages for that. John 1, verse 1 and 2. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. By him were all things made, and without him was not anything made that was made. So that simply means that before there was a world, there was a word, and that the word comes before the world. And the word, the Greek word translated word in John 1 is the Greek word logos. And from logos, we get words like logic and logy. So if there's an ology, if there's a sociology, if there's an ology, it's the knowledge of the thing. So before there was a world, there was the logic of God. There was the reason, there was the mind, there was the rationale of God, and physical things came out of the logos. We learn in Hebrews, Hebrews says that by faith we understand, we know, that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made from things which do appear. In other words, physical things have spiritual origins. And if we're going to have a wealth transfer, right? If there's going to be a wealth transfer so that the right people have the resources to do the right thing at the end of the age, then the first wave of the transfer is going to be a transfer of financial and commercial wisdom. And see, when God is giving you an appetite for financial and commercial wisdom, he is prepping you for the transfer of physical assets to come under your management, under your stewardship, and under your control. And God would not be wise to put financial assets under the management of people who were not financially intelligent. Like, God would be unwise to put commercial and economic assets under the management and stewardship of people who were not commercially sophisticated and financially intelligent. So the first wave in the wealth transfer is an appetite among the children of light for financial wisdom, for commercial wisdom, for economic wisdom. And so this is why I know that the real wealth transfer is taking place, is because, when I first started preaching the gospel of the kingdom as I see it, and I began sharing the fact that the kingdoms of this world are going to become the kingdoms of our Lord, and I began sharing some ideas about wealth and economics and history and sociology and all of these wonderful subjects that I love dealing with. A lot of believers, a lot of preachers thought that I had slipped, tripped, and bumped my head, right? They thought the aliens have landed. They thought, what has happened to Bishop? Like, has he lost his mind? Because he's talking about stuff that just doesn't make sense and doesn't really fit in with our tradition. But that was in the early days. But now I'm in demand, like all over the world. And I'm in demand because believers, unlike in any generation, have an appetite for financial intelligence and commercial wisdom. Like, we want to know how to manage assets, how to manage estates, how to manage portfolios. We want to understand the world of investing like never before. Believers, I've never seen this. Like, in all of my years, and I met Christ when I was at the ripe age of 15 years old, right? And today I'm like none of your business years old, right? But here I am, okay? All of these decades later, And I've never seen such an appetite for entrepreneurial education, an appetite for commercial wisdom, an appetite for financial intelligence. And it's like God is planting it in the believers because there can be no wealth transfer. There can be no meaningful wealth transfer of physical, financial, economic assets to believers who are financially ignorant, commercially ignorant, and economically ignorant. We have to, so God is giving us this appetite. And so the first phase of the wealth transfer is a transfer of wisdom. It's a transfer of wisdom. All right. Some of you found my comment funny. God bless you. It is funny. Right. So here goes. What is wisdom? So I'm going to give you my definition of wisdom, and it's difficult to define wisdom. Why? Because there is the wisdom of God and there's the wisdom of men. And it's equally difficult to define righteousness, because righteousness, when speaking of God, is the fact that he's right all the time. Right? So when we talk about God's righteousness, we're talking about his rightness. But when we talk about human righteousness, that is a status conferred on us by faith in Christ. So he declares us righteous because of faith. It's not that we're right all the time, but he declares us righteous. He confers the status of righteousness upon us in exchange for our faith in Christ. Wisdom is likewise difficult to define because God's wisdom and its human expression are distinct. So let's look at God's wisdom right here. Wisdom is the logos. That is the logic. It's the logic, the logos, the knowledge, the mind, counsel, and perspective of God on any given matter. So wisdom is God's perspective on your situation or circumstance. Wisdom is what God knows about it. Wisdom is God's advice in that issue. So whatever the issue, whether it's health, wealth, relational happiness, whether it's business, your professional life, ministry, politics and governance, whatever it is, God has counsel and perspective and logic and knowledge about that situation, and that fundamentally is his wisdom. Now, his wisdom is evidenced in us by our actions, our choices, and our decisions. Actions, choices, and decisions. So human beings are only wise in their actions, choices, and decisions. God is wise in his supreme intelligence, but we are only wise in our actions, choices, and decisions. And I really want to break that down because I think that this is perhaps the most controversial and challenging idea. Because a lot of people think they are wise in their mind. Right? They think,
All right,
you know
Larry
what?
is in the building.
I can see
Let's
this
see if
from
we can
another
get him to turn
perspective.
on his
I can see
camera and
what's
do
going
a
to
mic
happen if
check.
we go down this path. I can see this. I can see that. And they've got these thoughts, and in their mind, their thoughts are wise. However, wisdom is a skill. Wisdom is a skill. Wisdom is evident in choices, decisions, actions, and abilities. One more time. Wisdom is evident in choices, decisions, actions, and abilities. In other words, you can be wise in your mind all day long, but if you make the wrong choice, you're not wise. Unless you make wise decisions, you're not wise. Unless you take wise actions, you're not wise. Unless you possess certain abilities, you are not wise. Because wisdom, when it
Mic
comes to
check,
men,
mic
is a
check.
verb or an action word that is only visible in your deeds. You're not visible in your thoughts. Sorry, you're not wise in your thoughts. You're not wise in your words. You're only wise in your deeds. What you say doesn't make you wise. What you do is the hallmark of wisdom. Wow. So a lot of people who say wise things but don't do wise things. Okay? And so we can't call
Mic
you
check.
wise
Mic
because
check.
of what you say. We can only call you wise because of what you do. Wisdom is a verb, an action word. It's an action word. So I
Hello.
don't want us to think about
There you
wisdom
go,
as
Larry. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
superior
All right,
knowledge.
man.
I want you to think about
Try
wisdom in
turning on
terms of smart choices. I
your
want you to
camera.
think about wisdom in terms
Camera.
of
Start
strategic
video.
decisions. I
Video.
want you to
Yeah.
think of wisdom
Turn the
in
video on.
terms of taking the actions that need
Now
to be
we're
taken
making progress.
when they need to be
All
taken.
right. All right. I'm excited. I was
I want
getting
you to think
worried,
of
brother.
wisdom in terms
Yeah,
of
man. I was trying to figure this thing out.
I was getting worried.
translate
All right, man.
what you
Well,
need
let
into
me turn
what you
off the
want.
business
So that's
bishop.
so what you
Okay.
want into
Let me
what you
turn off the
need.
business bishop
So
so
that's
I
my
can
point number one. Point
introduce
number
my
one
peeps
is
to
that
you.
wisdom is
Okay.
it
All
is
right,
an
hang on.
ability. In fact, the word wisdom is used in the Bible so many times to describe skill. So
All right. My brother has entered the building, and
Yeah.
we are excited. We are glad about it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We are glad about it. So the truth of the matter is this, man. I've been trying to get this brother on this podcast for a minute. And you know, Providence being what it is, it took a little wrangling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took,
Just
but you have arrived, man. The eagle has landed, as they say.
hey, I appreciate.
So, but listen, man. Let me give you an opportunity just to warm up a little bit, man.
Yeah.
We just gonna have a conversation. Let me tell you a little bit about the audience.
Okay.
Our audience here at Level Up are typically folks that appreciate Black and Brown excellence
Okay.
in the form of entrepreneurship, in the form of civic duty, in the form of excellence that have nothing to do with dribbling a basketball or rocking a stage, because we already have enough examples of that.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. But our community needs to see other examples.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what our platform does is it gives shine to those examples. And I wanted to bring you on, obviously, because you're bringing light to an area that is definitely in need, the
Right.
mentoring of our young men. And because
Right.
of your pedigree, going through the United States military, I just felt like this would be an excellent conversation to have.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so if you don't mind, what I
Yeah.
want to do is just introduce my audience to you a little bit, and
Sure.
then we're just gonna have a conversation.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Sound all right? All right. So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be inspired and energized. Today, we have a true American hero in our midst, hailing from our vibrant city of Rochester, New York. Our guest journey embodies the essence of resilience, determination, and courage. From witnessing his parents' relentless work ethic to defying the odds stacked against him, he knew from a young age that he was destined for great things. Leaving behind the familiar comforts of home, he bravely enlisted, y'all, at age 18, embarking on a journey that would shape him into an extraordinary leader. With over 30 years of dedicated service and multiple deployments under his belt, including the prestigious role of U.S. Command Sergeant Major, our guest has not only defended our nation, but has also mastered a plethora of skilled trades, from carpentry to electrical work. But his story doesn't end in just that. Transitioning seamlessly from the military to a civilian world, he became a beacon of inspiration, leveraging over a decade of professional experience in the skilled tradesman industry. and wielding his unparalleled supervisory and managerial skills with finesse. So, folks, please join me and welcome the epitome of strength, resilience, leadership, the one and only Larry D. Sutton. Can't forget the D, y'all. All right. All right. So look, man, bro, welcome,
Yes,
man. Welcome to
hey,
Level Up.
hey, I appreciate this.
All
Appreciate
right,
that.
man.
I'm very,
Yes.
very, very, very honored to be on the show and to be able to help answer and whatever that some folks may have, whether it be military, whether it be my experiences, or whether it be what can I do to help the next young person or young man, or inspire even some of the ladies to even know what there is on the table out there when it comes to this military stuff, and when it comes to, when it talks about trades, when it comes to talk about just in general conversation. So I'm here. So I'm
Awesome.
hoping that we can, you know, do what we need to do to help those that are definitely in need of some help. And that's why
Yes.
I'm here. So I
Hey, man.
apologize for
No, man. Hey, no
Yeah.
apology is needed. No apology is necessary. Bro, you here. You here. So I'm just gonna jump into some, again, we're just gonna have a conversation.
Sure.
So first of all, you
Mhm.
know, how did your upbringing influence your decision to join the military? And I guess the second part of that
Mhm.
is, what lessons did you carry from your parents' hard work that helped you in your military career?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It started a long time ago when I was about 16, 17 years old. After I graduated high school, it was funny how I entered to go to Monroe Community College. And I was, you know, just like any other kid coming out of high school, thinking that, you know, the world is given to you. And I thought that, you know, by me going to college was like, it was a next stepping stone. That's what it was back then. And I thought by going to community, you know, Monroe Community College would have been an awesome deal. But what I
Mhm.
didn't see, what was behind all of that, me going there, was who's paying for all of this, right? And so I just took the ride. I'm like, I'm going to the classes, I'm doing everything I need to do, and I just didn't realize how I was actually just going to school, but the bills, I wasn't looking at any of that until it came to my second semester,
Mhm.
and I realized that when I was going with my father and them, and I'm like, "Well, Dad, what are you doing? Where you going?" He's like, "Well, we're going to take care of the college." And then when I just was like, "Yeah, right," I thought it was just something that was automatically happening because I was just oblivious. And then when he put his credit card out, that's what did it for me. I grew up kind of quick,
Mhm.
and I told him to take that back. I ripped up the contract, and I began to take ownership into something that I think was a major decision for me, because I started thinking, like, so he asked me, "Well, what are you going to do now that you did that?" And I'm like, "Well, Dad, I decided that I'm going to go to the Army.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to take this responsibility off your plate. You and Mom have done enough for me, and I thought that it was time for me to grow up,
Wow.
not knowing what I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
And it did grow me up, and it grew me up to know that I had a vast mass of men throughout my family, starting from my grandfather all the way from my adopted mother and my father, and everyone that was in my family have joined the military, and they had already done it. They've been through it. Now it was an era of something I have yet to attain, and I had to go through that process to understand what is it for me to make me better than what I thought I could be. And that slogan made a difference at the Army: be all you can be. And
In
and
the
your
Army. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. So, you know, I sort of took that approach and got into basic training and thought it was everything, right? And come to find out that it was not everything that I thought it was, because I had yet to be learning how to separate myself from the home. Now I'm much further away.
Right.
Um, and it was a learning thing for me. And I think most that anxiety of not being home, not being around your family, and me being the only sibling of my mother and father, no brothers, no sisters. I had no other resources of contacting anyone to say, man, is this going to be all right? Not knowing and the true man above until I gotten a little older in life to understand the real means of what my mother and father had already been doing for me from the beginning of the start was praying, right? So I didn't know any of it. And I learned after I had that phone call, and I just had to hear mom and dad's voice. And after I'd done that, in 1983, that was, and I woke up ever since then, and I've never looked back. And I thank God for allowing me to be able to experience that several places, lots of military, and I'll be like you've mentioned, over 30 something years. It'd be come this July to be August, September, when I'm actually supposed to do a mandatory retirement. So it would have probably end up somewhere around about 40 something years I've had in this military that I'll be leaving behind come this July of this 2024. So it's indeed a true experience. I couldn't thank God enough for allowing me to be able to go through a lot of that, learning different cultures, different speaks, different lives people live, and how they do things differently than the United States. So I give him the honor and all that praise, because it had not been for him, I would not be here and being able to be invited by talking with you, who a good friend of mine I've known for all sort of business adventures that you and I have been a part of, and getting to know wife and your
I appreciate that.
and and being able to have that opportunity to share this conversation with them, to let them know that through all of that I have done, I could not have done none of this if it had not been possible for the man above. So I have to first phrase that, and then also give you that credit back, because that's what it's about. It's about us reaching out to one another to try to help each other to know exactly what we need and who has resources and different types of stuff that can help propel us to be where we can be. And that, so I really appreciate that. But my military experiences have put me in a different state of mind. It have helped me grow up to be who I am. It has helped me to not only stabilize who I am, is also helped me to understand, to get people to realize that what they also can have as well, if they truly look at it this way. Because God knows that, hey, I can help you get education here. I can help you to become this person here, all in this whole military of that branch, of that army, right? He can help me to be whatever it is that I need to be. I just have to utilize that, who's in control, and how do I get what I'm looking for? And then how do I get what I'm looking for that I've been helped to get? How do I turn around and help the next one get to what they don't know that's there for them? Because the only thing they look at when we're talking about this branch of army or these different branches of services is everybody gets deployed. And that's not always the case.
Right.
But, but the biggest thing is, how do I help that family member get that education in something that we also think that we don't want our son or our daughter to do, but then they come out and they're a whole lot better in certain ways, not just because of the education, but just well-rounded because the government is sending them places across the world, doing different types of jobs, meeting types of folks, different cultural experiences, that it also broadens and, broaden them to a different level. And then when they come back home, they're a whole completely different changed person, and not just better, you know what I mean? But just as in what I done took the steps to do. So so I'm thankful, and so it my experiences have helped me out tremendously in doing what I do. So I can't be happy enough.
I love it. I love it. So listen, if you're just tapping in with this on social media, we are having an intimate conversation with Larry Sutton, a combat veteran with over 30 years of service. My friend, I know you have faced some challenges. You've had some triumphs. Can you share a little bit with our audience? Because we might have some young people who might even be looking at the military as an option. But what have been some of the most valuable life lessons you've learned during your military career?
Okay, so some of those things that I've started out for was like those life skills, right? Those social skills and things that we learned like when we were home with mom and dad. That was a good piece. They taught me how to do things that, where men and young boys don't think that we have to wash dishes, soda and iron and things like that. And sometimes we don't look at those things, but not that I didn't get them from home when I left, but when I had to be in there, there's no one else to do that for you. Right. So it helped you to understand not only being on time, being up ready, being ready to go. So it taught me a valuable lesson is to be responsible, be accountable. And a lot of that stuff, a lot of the young men and women that are going in today may not have heard that from a family member. Some moms and dads may not have want them to enter into this program. I tell you, and everywhere we go in every walks of life, we're going to have challenges, right? And we're going to have some things thrown at us that we're not figuring out how is this going to work. But as I always keep saying, that a lot of the times is the world is changed by the example and not the opinion. Everybody has one. But what I try to explain to folks is that everybody's always talking about this other stuff, but that's just what they're doing. They're talking. Unless they're actually really looking to go through this, they have no idea. But these experiences, me going through this military, have plateaued me, not only just for what I'm doing in the military, but it's propelled me for civilian world is to put me in positions to where God may want me to be around in rooms with folks who may not have been through this, or he wants me to be that spokesman for those folks out here that who can't do that for themselves or who have not, because we know Vietnam, Korean, World War I, World War II. I've had family in just about all of them except the World War I. But at the same token, it has helped me to understand a lot of that world of war that I did not understand when I was in it. But now that I'm a veteran service officer for the county, it allows me to talk with a lot of friends that have been in or who are in need of help, or they just don't understand how this program works beside the military. So this whole life lesson military has propelled me in a way to there's some challenges that I've been deployed. I've never been deployed. And I'll tell you right now, I knew nothing about it when I deployed. And I had to learn how different folks from different worlds live, how they eat, how they drink, and how they survive. And knowing that we're from the United States and we know it's kind of like it's handed out on a platter to us, right? So, but when you're there, there's nothing handed out to your platter over there. I mean, I'm talking about I had to drink. My shower was a 12-ounce bottle every day take about 116,
Amen.
when
Amen.
shower, when you go into your house, getting in your tub, cut your water on and you take that shower. Well, think about, I had a bottle of water every day warming up on a heater for me. So when I've done my running all day through temperatures of 100 and 160, 170, dry heat, right? That I had to come and I had to now submerge myself in a 12-ounce bottle of water as a shower every day, where you used to coming home from work or school and you come home and you jump in the shower, you don't think about it, and you go home and watch TV and eat something, go to sleep. Not where I was when I was in Iraq. It didn't work that way, right? So it's kind of like I had to really digest all that I was doing and all that I was going through. It kind of shocked me.
Right.
So I have the pictures and I have a lot of stuff that, memorabilia stuff that I could bring to your face that you can actually see, when they talk about Saddam and all this other type of stuff, things that I can physically put a hand on that I can tell you that this is where I was and this is what I experienced. And I've done that with a lot of elementary schools. When I got back, I did a lot of my cultural experiences for them. And I kind of related to how their mom and dad would like them to do things now based on a lot of the kids there. And just
Right.
so that what I did is I had a kid that was like 12 years old. He was living a lifestyle of a young man over there, 35 years old here. Over in Iraq, he
Oh
had
my
to walk
goodness.
10 to 15 miles. He walked every day, and we paid him for his services while I was over in a country called The Hook. And he helped us Americans get the things we needed, but he was only 12 years old. And his dad told him, you will walk 12 to 15 miles every day to get that little earning. and you will walk 12 to 15 miles back. So imagine at 12 years old, you got your son and your daughter walking 12, 15 miles one way and turn around and walking 15 miles back the other way to give them what we had to earn and the lifestyle that they live over there. So those experiences have really showed me how we sometimes Americans, sometimes we are just fortunate, or sometimes I think we're just a little bit, we're petted a little bit because we really don't understand how it is that a 12-year-old is living that lifestyle of a guy 35 years old here in Rochester or in any state. That's their normal. 15 years old at 12 years old, and I couldn't believe it. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
crazy. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
helped me to grow up really fast when I got in a different country, and not only the States, but a different country to understand that. And I still think about it today. I got pictures of this young man, Ricky, and the young girl, and it just blow my mind every time I think about that. Where those kids at today? That's when the 2004 and 2005. Today, I couldn't tell you where those young kids are at today. They have a life expectancy no longer than 35 years old.
Wow.
Just because of the country that they live in, and that's just how they are over there. And I just, so when kids come to me, I try to be observant, trying to be the person of hope, trying to give them some inspire, encourage. Always stay encouraged, because you just never know, because it's a crazy, crazy world over there. I always tell people it's a beautiful country, but there's some silly people in the things that they do and how they survive. So I thank God for allowing me to go there, and I thank God allowing him to bring me back so I can
Safely.
tell.
Bring you back safely. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, one of the things that's on my spirit, Larry, because I know there's some young people who are probably listening to this broadcast, is how will a young person benefit from going from a block view of the world to a world view of the world? Some
Well,
young people don't ever leave their block. They'll never
yeah.
leave New York State. They'll never leave Rochester.
Yeah. I have to say this all the time, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like I deal with a lot of the young folks today, and we're only dealing right in the corner from each other. We're going right from home to the corner, back home. And some folks have yet to even get outside of Rochester, right? So it's to understand where you need to be. You got to understand that there's going to be some things that you ain't going to like and you are not going to want to do. So staying in that comfort zone is one of them. We got to learn to get outside of that comfort zone to do some things that are uncomfortable. So therefore, when we get back to our scenery where we live at, folks will understand that you took that that step extra to get to where you've been. Now you come back and you can share that testimony with someone that where you've been and how you can help them to be to where they need to be if they thought differently. But if they were never told that they had to go outside of that comfort zone to get to where they need to be, they wouldn't understand that until they've done it. And then once they've done it, then they're like, wow, I didn't really know there was something else, because there's a whole nother world out there besides the one that you live in if you never got outside of that arena. But you have to find that loophole, or you have to find that resource, or someone who's willing to help you to go through it too. Not just like, I'm just going to throw you out there, I'm going to leave you. But when you do try that fate, and like I said, sometimes our most experiences are learned when failure comes about, because it's always at the end of the talk, it's always say that if you failed in something, you try what? You fall, you get back up, and you try it again.
Try it again.
That's
right.
Gave up. It's just sometimes I think our wheels of opportunity comes when we think we failed at something. But how do we ever know? Just like the comfort zone, how do we ever know what's out there for us if we never knew or if we never tried it?
Right.
So I believe in that, I don't have all the answers to all that, but you know what? But I'm here to help you and inspire you to know that there's a bigger world out there for us if we're looking for it. If we're not, then I hold myself accountable for not being able to have explained that to a lot of the young adults, because the young adults, you are our future. You are our tomorrow. Just
Absolutely.
as my future of tomorrow. I always got it. Young men's building the future for tomorrow. If it's not me doing it, eventually it will be you. So it's not about me. It's about you. And how can I help you to get to where you don't know you need to be. But I got to first put that on the table for you. You know what I mean?
Right. Amen.
That's kind of how it is. And I think a lot of times some of us miss that guidance and how we are supposed to, that purpose. What is our purpose here? Why are we here? You know, I think that's a lot of that to do with who our circle is around. Who is our circle? Who are we getting that counsel from? Right. So kind of how I kind of look at a lot of that whole process of me being to where I'm at, to being able to help someone trying to at least have the tool, not maybe all the answers, but at least have a start chance to know if I went here, what are my choices? What are my options? You know what I mean? And we kind of figure that out. And so that's kind of why I kind of like the fact of keeping that youth involved, you know, to know that, hey, I'm not the answer. My future tomorrow is starting with you. It's not me. My future is what I have already. He allowed me to inspire. He allowed me to do things that other people would probably never really want to do. But guess what? But now it's up to you. And you got me as a person. What can we do? There's nothing that we cannot do. We can win. We can succeed with everything if we have the right persons in our sights. But it's a lot of times it's a matter of you taking that leap of faith and just praying on it and knowing that, you know, you will make it. You just got to put yourself out there and understand that there ain't nothing for free. You got to work. You know, that's
So,
kind of how.
I'm glad you're not sugarcoating this, because as a vet myself, there are people who go through their military experience and they come back to the civilian world with nothing, like no tangible skills. That wasn't the case for you, and that wasn't the case for me. What do you think is the defining difference between folks like us that leveraged our military experience and we came back to the civilian world, and there was a path, there was a spirit, and there was a goal in our minds, versus someone who comes back and just kind of wanders? What have you seen to speak to that?
Well, I think from what I've understood was my coming. Well, like it's speaking for me, I know that when I came back from some of my training, I knew that it was going to be a difference in what I was looking for. Even after I thought about when I ripped up the paper and I just made that decision, I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I was like, I just couldn't believe I ripped that paper up. But there was something else that was inside of me that told me, I will never leave you and I'll never forsake you. And I kept remembering that, and always, because he put the fear of me in knowing that that my parents are my parents and they always will be. My biggest concern is that when I got out, I was scared of failure, and I wanted to succeed. I just didn't know how. So by me growing up a little bit in the military and learning what a soldier had to be, being a part of that organization, as I step away from that organization, it has taught me different other valuable perishable skills that I can make it. Right. And so whatever that I felt the task was that was presented to me, I took that as an opportunity to say that no matter what that skill was or that opportunity may be, I never looked at it as being I'm a second class citizen. I looked at that as that I'm a citizen altogether, period. So it's an opportunity, and that's something I wanted to do. Now I need to find out how to go about getting the actual tools and the help and the resources in order to get it. So that's how it kind of worked for me. For a lot of the folks that I know that I've spoken to that come out of the military in one other fashion or one other capacity, they have gotten to a point where they were either tired of what they were doing when they got out, and they came back, and I guess they just took a small break. For me, there was no small breaks for me. It just that sometimes I think it again is to how folks come away from that other break, as you said, you and I, we come out and we had some goals in mind, and we had some things set for us before, it even came to about, or even how can we master what we see someone else has done. I just started getting creative and started going and asking them, how did you get to where you are to do what you're doing? I didn't know how to do it, but I at least know that if I ask, I at least have a shot, right? So I just had that in me that I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna be that person, and people may not like me for it, but that's okay, because I was always told people don't have to like me. I just got to go ask the question. You're not paid to like me. I just want to know how you got.
I love it. I love it.
That's all, because I
You are
always read.
not paid to like me.
Yeah, because Earl G. Graves said, and when I read his book, he says, it's a book that stated that, how do men succeed in business without being white? And I used to read that book as a security guard in Monroe Community College, standing up as a security guard. And everybody would always ask, oh man, that's a prejudice thing. No, it never said anything about being prejudiced. Earl G. Graves was never prejudiced. All he said was that book started with saying, if you line me up at the same starting line,
Come on, talk to us.
he just wants to know, what will it take him to get at the end of the finish line like you? He didn't say that you was prejudiced. He just wanted to know, what does it take for me to get from the beginning of the start line to the end of the finish line without going through something, but finishing the course. And that's what he was talking about. He just saying, compared to the person I'm next to, I have to be that much
better.
Yeah, I have to be that much better to get to the end of the line. He just said, give me the start. You don't have to tell me everything, but just give me the start. And I think that's what I've been doing, is I've been reading these books and just hearing reading their stories that allowed it to manifest in me, so therefore I can have a story of my own, that when it comes to me talking to someone else that's having a struggle, I can give them this little bit of momentum. And that's what it did for me. And it just stayed there, and it never left. And today I'm just as fired about it up today as I am when I first started.
Bring it. All right. So for my folks out in social media, if you're just kind of tapping in with us, I'm having a conversation with Larry Sutton, Larry D. Sutton.
Yes.
And we've been just, thinking about some of the lessons learned from his military duty. But I'm gonna get crystal laser focused right now. So you didn't just, come out of the military with some stories. You came out with some skills.
Right.
So from carpentry to electrical, you have mastered several skills during that military tenure. So my wonder is this: how did your military experience shape these proficiencies in the trades, and how do you continue to leverage these skills in the civilian world now?
Okay, so what has happened with me is when I got some histories from my uncles, and I'll be honest with you, they had some of these skilled trades before I left to the military, and I was already employed into some of these trades. But where it came back is, I've never seen as a business, as far as minority owned business, like a property management company, that my uncles them had all this skill, but they could yet bring that as a company. They could not bring it as a team of collectively, like everyone has a skill set that they can bring that together where they can offer these services to the community. And I just put that together and thinking to myself, like, that's something that I can do. I got, skills. I went to school for electrical at BOCES for 4 years, apprenticeship. I worked under 2 years under a contractor. I worked with 2 different contractors here in Rochester, New York. I also applied for the actual, the skilled trades to work for unions as well. Same thing with carpentry and all of that, the same thing. And I just kept saying to myself, to one day, I got to change something that I do. And it allowed me to form a few guys together and one female partner. we came together and we formed a company I had back in since 2000. I had what's called First Arm Property. And it allowed me from the military, it allowed me to gather some of these skills. And I've taken some of those skills from the military and I applied them to having my own company, which is First Arm Property. And it's been in the business in existence since 2000. And we went around in the community of Rochester, and I used to have a little place right there on Genesee Street. And we started doing property maintenance, property management, selling, packages and different, different employments and different stuff, and utilizing the skills that allowed me to not only, do something for someone else, but it allowed me to be able to eat. So if I didn't have any other perishable skill, these skills here will teach you for a lifetime, because you can go from here to any country throughout the world and utilize those skill sets, and you would never not know how to eat. So that's how I came up with my second little non-for-profit agency, is dealing with the, building the future for, young men building the future for tomorrow, is because trying to teach some of those skill sets to some of those young men that are out here that are looking eager, hungry, and they want to thrive. They want a different way, changing the world about what they can do with knowing how to read a measuring tape. And some of that eventually down the road for some of those lady friends that are looking to want to get into that particular type of skill sets. So this is some of the things that have not only helped me, again, like I say, it's to help me to help you. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. So those kind of things that shape me, and even to this day, that people will still call me today and say, hey, I got a light out. Well, to me, I just took a challenge, because a lot of folks want to deal with electrical, because electrical is kind of one of those, you got to know, you got to have a theory behind it. And there is a formulas to utilize this whole thing. But there's a lot of people don't like touching light bulbs. There's a lot of people don't like touching switches, right? So to me, that was intriguing to know, how does that work? How do I fix that when I know that light needs to work or that switch don't work? Now, anything around my home, I don't have to call any electrician to do it. I do it myself, right? And when it comes to doing any type of carpentry, I mean, it's like, once you know one trade, you want to find out the other trade. And like they say, once you get the master of all the trade, they always say you got the skill of all trades, but the master of none, right?
Yeah. Oh boy. I know about that.
It whirled for me, and I started learning from different people how they do it, and how it makes it a success in making this run for the skilled trades. And I think it's great to have the college education, and I'm never going to say no to that. But it's also good to have that second trade, that second skill, which is knowing how to use your hand. And when we understand how to do that, and we can pull out a measuring tape, that's your tool right there. As long as you know how to read that tape and you know how to use your hands, that is a trade no one can ever take away from anybody. And that's something I can teach you for a lifetime. As someone always told me, I can go fish for you, bring you back as many fish you want, but if I show you how to fish, you can feed yourself for life, right? So this is something that I want to teach you, to let you understand that once we put this tape in your hand, you don't always have to be around Mr. Sutton to go feed your family. You can do it for a lifetime. And that's really what it's taught me in the military, because there were other ways they were trying to take me, but I kept saying, no, I want to do this. So I kept getting into these classes, and I kept understanding, going to night school, up all night, trying to figure out, making projects at home, trying to figure out how it worked, and then plug it in and hear it pop. What I had to figure it out is if that's where I belong. And once I started getting it down and started understanding it, it was like magic. And for me, I always understood power, and I just knew that power. And I always said that if I gotta do power, always remember, always respect it, but never trust it. And I'm still like that to this day, but I can work on power live. Anything with 110, 240, I'm all over. I don't have to cut the power off. I know exactly what I need to do. But always, again, remember, respect it, never trust it.
Better
right?
respect it. Absolutely. Better respect it.
Commercial work, and that commercial work, I don't even play with commercial work. You talking about a whole lot of voltages, and it's not always the voltage what knocks people off their feet. It's the amperage. So let's get that correct. So I always tell people, the amperage is the one that gets you. It's never the power, it's the amperage.
Wow.
So that's the
Wow.
one that grab your hand like a brother that don't want to shake your hand no more.
So Larry, here's a
Yes, sir.
question, man.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that someone from the Rochester City School District is watching this podcast,
Okay.
because I remember having a conversation with you
Hmm.
and telling you that, for years, the students that I was molding were
Hmm.
directed by me. Okay, we want you to go to college and be able to be that first or second generation, and,
Hmm.
and break that family cycle. And then I learned that often people who have a trade have more financial stability than people with two and three college loans and debt, and some don't even finish.
Yes. Yes.
Speak to the people in power who knowingly have changed the game in our Rochester
Hmm.
City School District, and the only way
Hmm.
that you can go through a trades program is you can't even
Hmm.
live in the city. You got to live in the suburbs.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's something I found out as well, that I've reached out to some of the high schools throughout the Rochester location, and just trying to find out geographically on some of the other places like Buffalo and Syracuse, and just trying to see where we stand as far as that goes, is trying to, economic wise, is trying to do something in the school systems to where they're getting back into the trades. And I'm seeing that a lot of uh, there's a lot of folks around that I talk to in the city that are doing some things, trying to help the kids to understand that, education, as we mentioned before, is an all be all. I get it. But when it comes to this particular trade, and how substantially some folks that I know have really just retired at the ages of 38, 40, uh, during the unions, just retired from this particular kind of work. And it's like, how are we being left out without knowing that this is an opportunity for us as well, right? And when I look at the numbers and statistics, it blows me off the chart how many I think about our young adult, brothers and sisters have yet to even tap the surface with this particular trade. They are reaching out to you, giving you opportunities of going to school, learning how to do this and this and that. But unless you heard about it, you wouldn't know about it. And that's the thing that gets me, because when I was young and eager like that, trying to make it, like, okay, I knew school was great, but I didn't really know that I had potential over here to really put a retirement behind this trade skill. And like I said, I see people now living in certain places that I would have never thought of, houses that they were being, cars they're driving, if that's what turns them on. My biggest thing is having the equity of life, knowing that I can go to the bank and don't have to worry about if I have it tomorrow or not. Just knowing that I had it there in case of emergency, or just stacking it away to build up nest egg. So when I do retire, besides what I'm making, I got something to lean on, right? So it's just a lot of that I see from, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse standpoint, and it blows my mind when I look at the numbers of folks who are either my skin tone, or not even thinking about this may be an opportunity that I could retire from. So it blows my mind. And then when I do see some of us that have done it, and I know plenty of us here that has retired, by my age, have retired, and they sitting back and just doing something on the side, or they have houses, or or they're mentors, or they're teaching in this particular aspect of trades to a lot of the younger adults. And so it's I mean, I wouldn't take it away, because it's that skill set that you never get rid of it if you're using it. If you never use it, like they say, you'll lose it, right? So I just think that it's time out for a lot of the young kids that are in colleges. When I was there as a guard, security guard, and I'm watching them, and I'm saying to myself, like, well, how long are you planning on doing this? And I'm like, I'm going to do this for 4 years. I said, that's great. So you're going to get this skill, and what are you going to do? And, well, I got to figure out that. So you're going to figure out after you got your 4-year degree, right? Yeah. Okay, great. So now what are you going to do after that? Right? Have you ever thought about, like, having homes? Have you ever thought about the equity in the homes? Have you ever thought about getting a skilled trade that could put you in a position to, like, free yourself, free other folks, and free just the community of people, so that way we can make this world a better place, right? Because you can take this from Rochester, you can go all across the world with this skilled trade. I'm not saying education ain't a benefit, because we also want to put that on the resume when we go and stature them and say, listen, I got my master's, I got my MBA, I got this. And on top of that, guess what? I'm a skilled licensed electrician. I'm a skilled licensed plumber. I'm I'm a master's electrician. I'm a master plumber. I'm a master carpenter, right? And then when they look at that, they're like, wow. People look at you like, man, this guy is just, well, this girl is all over the place with this. Well, you can make your own way. All you need to do is get the skills in the training. Once you get that, and understand that there is a what we call, like, that skills of order that we have to follow. There's a process, right? And I had to do that. And so this is what I noticed, that when I started getting into this, after I was going back, from my uncles, and that had, they had skill sets, but they could never come together as a company or as a team to have this property management. And that's what drove me to do that, because I was trying to gather young men and women then, when I had this company going in Rochester, to do just that underneath that umbrella, but
Right.
I'm looking at it differently now, is trying to do something to try to help the young folks, even if it's just like, how can I help you change a doorknob? How can I help you to put on a latch on a switch? These are skill sets that are happening every day. Hey, I want to go over here and I want to I want to change a window. Well, okay, but how do you do that? It takes some sort of coordination, some sort of measuring tape. We got to measure it and put that in, right? So it's like, how do I help you do that? These are things, like, smaller skills at my nonprofit, that I'm looking to do with a lot of the young men. Not only just, we're going to turn you into a carpenter, we're going to turn you into a plumber, we're going to turn you into a mason or whatnot. I'm looking at some of those smaller things that we do every day around the house that we just don't get a chance to do. Putting on the door handle, right? It takes some sort of skill set, right, to know how to do that. Do I have it on right? It's
There's
a
one
lot.
way of doing it right, and there's a lot of
Yeah,
ways to do it wrong.
exactly. Right. So, how do we put this in, and how does it lock? Just things like that. And I think what it is a lot of the times we get caught into hurry up, get it done. And then we do that. And then when it get to the working, it's not working right. Okay. Well, why is it not working right? See, my key is not only if I want you to get it done, but I want you to know that it's right. You know what I mean? Get it. Make sure that it's right. Because if it ain't right, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have a lot of problems. You're going to have a lot of people calling you back. And then your name's going to get out there, because everything is about what? It's about our name.
Amen.
So
Amen.
that's kind of how that works, man. We want our name to travel. So when the name gets out there, people's talking good about you. They know the type of work you do. They know that this person is capable. I used him before, and every time I used him, it was all right and it was okay. And that's kind of where I left my legacy, is that when I moved out and I did a job for somebody, it was always the best, or it was a top of the not one or two, and they'd always call me back to get it fixed. Hey, I got a light ain't working, the switch ain't on. The little things around the house that I can do, and that's kind of how I got to start in doing that whole business. And then that's when I just, leaped into, I need to get some more younger folks into this business.
Larry, I know you are no stranger to confronting folks that are, say, a higher pay grade than you, and you share what it is with conviction, and with love, and with courage.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to pivot to how you're paying it forward. But here
Mm-hmm.
we are. I put you in the room over dinner
Mm-hmm.
with the mayor of Rochester and the
Mm-hmm.
school board president of Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
What argument would you share with them? What argument would you make to them about bringing back the trades to the Rochester City School District?
Well, I think what's happened is that I would beg to differ with them, because I mean I know they're pushing, and I think we have some challenges, right? I ain't gonna say a lot of trouble. We have some challenges right now in our school system, and I think the one of the things that, you know, as well as I know when I came up, for me, and I just have to be this way in the beginning, is when they taken out one person voted that they'll take the Legion of the Flag out of the actual schools, right? I remember saying that to the day where I can say it now backwards in my sleep. And today, those kids have no clue about what that meant. But one person voted it to get out, and now it's out at all the schools, and now the schools seem like they're just all over the place with this. So my biggest thing is, now I sit down with the school board and I sit down with the mayor of Rochester, and now first thing I'm gonna do is tell them about the skilled trades. And I know there's some other folks out there that have tried and they've done what they've done. My biggest thing is, how do we get back to getting these kids back into school? Because when I was in high school, there was tons of some of those schools that I went to at Tech that was, you know, over here off of Colfax Street. I went there. I went to the school over here at East High School. They had night schools there for when they had the challenges of what, you know, skilled trades were bringing us. So how how much money is it thrown at for us to have this throughout all the high schools? You know, not just Edison Tech, because it was educational technical high school. That's why, you know, it was Edison Tech, because they had the tech in it, right? So that way they had all the skilled trades. But what about all the schools? I mean, some of those schools had workshops and stuff that I've taken along the way, and that's how I learned that woodworking. I mean, but is that there, and is it immediate like it was back when I was in high school? I mean, I don't really hear a lot of these kids coming out of the school talking about the skilled trades like they once did. You know, I remember some of the things I made when I was in school, and I can come back and I can show parents what I've done, or show someone how I've made that, right? But today, I'm not even seeing that from the kids that are coming out of school today. I don't even know if that's even a major concern. So my question being is to them is, when we want to find out, we want to give it, me personally, we want to give some ownership to the young folks when it comes to this particular trade and skill, because it's a skill. And it's like, we can actually have an option, which I know some of the things in Urban League that's trying to do.
Larry,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
skill that
yeah,
pays the bills.
exactly. And this
Yeah,
is,
it's a big thing.
it's major. And this is what I'm saying. So when we're talking about how are we going to get back to what we lost, we need to find out how we get to the point where we can bring the kids in to have some interest in this. Because really, if they're even going to get education, when they're done with the education, they got to find somewhere to what? Live, right? And they got to pay for the bills that is going to be coming in that house. So why can't I learn how to do some of this skill stuff that's going to prevent me from, just because of my education has me there, and I have two of them, but yet neither one of them is helping me to pay that light bill. I mean, or helping me to get to where I want to know how to change that light, or how to put a door in. I mean, those are not helping me to do that, because I got to go get someone else now based on what I'm making to pay that bill. So why not learn some of these perishable skills? That's why I was thinking about the schools, and I was like, I've had a conversation with the mayor. I've had a conversation, not with the school board, but over these particular things that we're talking about right now. And this is what made me think, like, I understand that the school wants this and the school needs that, but I'm just saying, what are we doing, like, for a sport? What are we putting out there for the kids to be as hungry about these skilled trades as they are about drilling the basketball? Because we all understand that we can do that, right? We can play the basketball, but I'm talking about right now, we need to set aside something that's going to give us some momentum to think about my future before I'm there. Because once you're there, now it's like I'm just going to settle for anything that they give me to make it work. And you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, that doesn't work that way. I got to set you up now, so when you get to be that age, that future that you're looking at is there in front of you. Now all you're doing is you just making the clock work. It ain't a matter of I gotta go do this now. Because you know, decades come, seasons come, they come and go. But where are we in the process of that? So that's my argument, that I would be, and I've had that already with a lot of the folks that are down, some of the higher officials throughout Rochester, about this whole process, what we talk about these younger kids, you know. So I really think that if we could really just come together and not just having a meeting from a meeting to a meeting. I'm not all about all of that. I'm about let's put the production in the places it needs to be, and let's see how we move the kids to that level and put them in front, because that's what it's about. It's about that future. It's about our future. How are we helping our younger get to where they don't know where they need to be? We got to put them there before they're ready. Because if you don't, then it's like now we're going to have to treat them as they become adults.
They won't be ready. Yeah, they won't be ready. So Larry, so we're at the top of the hour, man. We've had a chance to talk to our audience about your military journey, your entrepreneur journey.
Right.
Let's pull back the curtain now. Let's talk about what you're doing to pay it forward. Talk a little bit about your non-for-profit.
Okay. Well, first of all, I started that non-for-profit. That had to be about 5 years ago. I put it together. I've thought about what I would like to go in it, and it's like I started thinking about how can I reach the youth, because this is what the program is really set about. And as I was starting to think about this non-for-profit, most folks were telling me to do an INC. I didn't want to do an INC. I understand what INC is. I didn't want to do an S Corp, C Corp, none of that, 501, all that. I just wanted to do a non-for-profit. And I was kind of thinking about some of the ways, and I used to be, like I said, part of the Urban League of Rochester. And I used to run the program down there for the teen bill, youth bill. And I started just thinking about how some of those youth down there were from the education part, and then part of the education, if they wasn't looking for that, is to how they can get into the skilled trade. And I thought about that, and so it kind of inspired me to come up with this non-for-profit of the future and building a future for tomorrow. And some of the things and the intricacies inside of it, how can I help them? So I was just thinking about a curriculum. How would I do it? I would start off with the youth. The youth, I want to start off from 8 to 12. I started doing research, going to Home Depot, and they started working off of kids early as 3 years old, 4 or 5 years old. They're working with kids that young in these skilled trades. I started thinking, like, when I started saying 8 to 12 and then 13 to 18, people started saying, well, we need to hit this group here. Well, why can't we hit the group between 8 and 12, right? When I go to Home Depot, they're working with kids starting age 5. So I started putting all of my notes together, and I started writing things, and man, I started putting things out on the table, and I just started coming up with the process and the curriculum. And that's kind of how I kind of formed this young men building the future for tomorrow. And I started just thinking about, if we don't have a way to grab the kids, as I was saying to you when I sent you my information, that we're gonna have a problem if I'm not trying to find a way to reach and teach these kids on what they need to understand. And it's not so much about being in charge, it's about knowing how to be in charge, right? So it's not like, okay, this is the end of the world. Yeah, in the business, we all got to eat. But at the same token, I want to make sure that I'm navigating my information to the audience to understand that, I'm here for you. And only if you want to be a part of it. I don't want to make you do something that you're not wanting to do. But here's my information out here for you, right? And when you look at my information and how I'm doing it, I'm only just starting it. I don't have all the answers. But what I know is that if I continue to keep doing what I'm doing, eventually this program will self-run itself. All I need to do is put the right key folks involved, that making sure that when they really want to get a child into a program and they're really thinking about how can this really benefit my child, I started thinking about this. And that's why I made it a non-for-profit. I'm not trying to profit any profits. I'm just trying to profit what I can to put into the business to make it profit to help other kids get to where we know they can be. And this is why I came up with the building the future, the young men building the future for tomorrow. And so when it comes down to it, yes, there's someone over it, but believe me, I'm not trying to place myself as though I'm the one to all be all, because before you know it, I'll be out of it and someone else will be in it. And that's kind of how I set it up to do it this way. So I take care of all the expenses, everything that happens. I got places and where we need to be. I'm still talking to folks, trying to get the place in mind and where I like folks to be. And I already talked to that person already. Now it's a matter of me now just trying to find out. I can find interests in folks, young kids, and and seeing what they like to do, and I can just start off a small group of kids. And but someone's telling me, man, you got to think big. Well, I always do. But the minute I get kids involved, I'm responsible, right? So I got to do a little background check on making sure folks are good to go, doing a little background checks on my instructors, making sure things to go there. And then once we get that enrolled, it's a matter of just getting out there and just learning how to do small things. And then you can find out whether or not you're mechanically inclined to do certain things that you didn't think you were capable of doing. And that's really where it boils down to. You know what I mean? So it's so I really appreciate the fact of me allowing me to be able to, air that information on your podcast, and being able to just share some of the things that I would like to get involved with, and just bringing some of the young folks together. And really, not for anything, it's more than mentorship. It's more of, coaching you along the way and hearing what you have to say and listening to you. And it's not all the way about, me pointing a finger. It's about me trying to hear what you need and what you want. And so that's a lot of what I have. I have a lot of understanding what in my business, what does money do for me? Financial literacy. How do I have a banking account? How can I start this off? When I read the book, on the young man that I got in there in my book that I read, and he was talking about how he was trying to become a millionaire, and he was only, 8 years old, but he said by the time he turned 20, he will be one, and it's a little small book in there that I read on that. And I tell you, I really, think about a lot of the stuff that young men or even a young person would want to know. How do I get there? And everything is legal and it's ethical and it's moral. And I have a good conscience about what I do. So like I said, that's kind of how I'm not trying, but I will propel in making this happen. I just want to make sure now that I got to get the right key leaders involved. And that's kind of how I, do what I do as far as as far as the business goes.
I love it. So Larry, I got just
Yes,
two
sir.
more questions. The landing gear is coming down. We're getting ready to land this, but
Okay.
I really, I want to. There's so much meat on this bone,
Yeah.
and I really want our audience to understand the gravity and the impact of
Mm-hmm.
of what you're manifesting. Speak to
Mm-hmm.
this statistic. 24% of youth who are in trouble or eventually going to be incarcerated
Mm-hmm.
are a result of being raised, either without a lot of direction. A lot of them are in single family households. Some are
Mm-hmm.
battling mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Others are suffering for depression.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to my audience about, this is your why for the program,
Mm-hmm.
your inspiration for doing this. Where's that coming from?
Okay. So that why is coming from is to why not me? Right. When I look at our, like you said, the statistics, when I looking at the young black men, as I said, I took a poll from Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, and I just started placing where we are. Mental health is a major, it will never go away. The thing is, it's just the challenges and what the folks that some of our young men are hanging around, right? They're being influenced by other folks. Like you said, there's no directors. There's when it's one parent, there's no parent, or it's just mom doing the best she can to make ends meet. And then the sons or whatever get to the point to where they're like, hey, I can help you to do this, I can do that, and I do that. But that's great. But at the same token, my why is, why not me? If it's not you, then who? And then if it's not me, then who? And then why? And then who is it? And if it's not next, then where? I mean, I'm just looking at when I look at the statistics of how we are not on the map when it comes to the skilled trade. We are not on the map. That 24%, which is a poll I took when I looked at Buffalo, Rochester, and just the community. I know we probably across the world is worse, but the thing about it is, how do I change that? How do I communicate this information to you to let you understand? Because yes, we are failing when it comes to the communication, when the homes, the families, the mental capacity. How do I keep folks engaged when I don't know how to reach you because of where you are, right? So do I need to take a step back and figure out how you are first before I can even begin to introduce you to something that I think would change your life and would change the life of your family if you choose to go this route. I just looked at this being an entity to try to change some of that direction, some of that hostility, some of the young men and the challenges that they're going through, so that I can kind of help them to mold them to a point to where I can't mold you if you don't want to be molded. You know, in the United States military Army, I've been a drill sergeant for 14 years. I've marched probably over 6,000, 7,000 soldiers, right? But at the same time, I kind of look at this same thing as I'm held accountable for what I'm not doing versus what I've done. So I'm still on the globe. I'm still marching for the person that I need to march for, the man above, and to get these young men and sit down and hear them and hear what they're listening to and what's going on with them, to try to change that pattern of where they are, so we can be all that we can be on this thing. Because I know I can sit here and talk about this thing, but it's terrible. Is when I look at 24% and all the demographics and the things that they're going through and where the challenges and places they come from, it's real. And when I look out there, it's real. So I just, you know, I tell you, I can go on and go on, but I just, you know, it's bad. But I really want to be able to see how this opportunity will give them an opportunity of a lifetime. So I know that it's more to be said, but for right now, I think that's where I'm at right there.
So Larry, here's you know, as we kind of just summarize and just revisit the goals that you have for the program. I'm sure that there's going to be people in our audience that want to help. They actually don't know how they can get involved, but they want to do something.
Right.
I'm going to have the website in our program description. What can people do that want to do a little bit, even if they can't do a lot?
Well, the biggest thing that I tell them to do is, like, I'm always looking for donations. I'm always looking for volunteers to start the program. Like, for example, I'm always looking for like instructors, master electricians, people with master skills of trades that have some ability to be able to help out, whether it be for the front office or just, you know, having snacks, having stuff that, you know, that can help the young folks become a part of something that they may not even think that they may be a part of. And I know it's a lot of coordination when it comes to doing this type of event, because I know everybody wants to be a part of it, but you know how it is when you think you got enough folks, you don't have enough, you don't have nobody. And I always try to look at how can I blend in a bunch of folks to help me. But I always say on my website, donate, and how could you help today as a volunteer. I always need volunteers. That's how I started off with a lot of this stuff, is being a volunteer. And I always look at, I'm always in need of that, always in need of inspiring me to know what I don't know. There's some folks out there that are doing this thing already, but they just not circulated on your podcast to push it out there. My biggest thing is, I know there's enough on the plate for a lot of us out here to eat from, but I want to learn how to eat from the plates that all of us are eating from, so we can feed the entire world on everything that I have to try to help them. So if anyone is interested in trying to figure out who I am, hey, you got my information, get a hold of me. I can kind of blend us together. Right now, I'm not into the meetings at the moment, but I won't be starting it up until somewhere probably around about, I would say about May, June timeframe. I will be into really trying to push a lot of this program forward as I'm getting my place set for these young folks to come into. So if they're looking to want to volunteer, send your information. I'll be in touch. I'll let you know what's going on. I'll keep you in the program, keep you abreast of what's happening, and then we can start going from there. And then I can see how I can best utilize your interests into this organization to even make it better than what it is now.
Amen. Amen. So on the screen, guys, I actually have the website open. As you can see, if you want to donate, we got you. If you want to contact Larry directly, we got you. If
Yep.
you want to become a a partner, and volunteer in any capacity, he got you. If you have an organization, or if you have a rich uncle who just simply wants to be a part of the solution instead of fixating on the problem, there's
Right.
the mission, there's the why. So we got all the bases covered. Go ahead and click the link in the description. Young men building a future for tomorrow. Love it. Love it. So
Yes.
Larry, as in our tradition, man, could you just give us a quick prayer as we wrap up this level up experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you. Let's go ahead and pray. Hey, thank you, Father. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for allowing us to have this podcast tonight. Thank you for allowing me to be that example, allowing me to be in front, to put out information for you. I want you to understand that I could not have done this without the help of the man above, and just knowing that you're giving me that opportunity, hoping that all this information that is flowing here tonight, allow it, Lord, to allow it to be information for, if not for anything, for those who are on this site, on the podcast tonight, listening, opening up their ears to let them understand that our youth is our tomorrow. And hopefully that one day, God, that you will understand that. And I know it comes from you, no one but from you, that you know that we can do all things with you. And I know that everyone on this phone call tonight that is listening, knowing that we know that our youth are not are in trouble, but we know that if you give us the information, give us the work, we can put our work to a test. And with all these words that being said in your name, I appreciate your work. In Jesus' name, we say amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen again. Larry, man, thank you so much, brother. Can I get a
Hey,
commitment from you though?
yes,
Can,
sir.
can, can we bring you back in 6 to 9 months to see how the program is going?
Sure, because I know I'll be starting the program up somewhere around about, it actually be starting off somewhere around about, I'll give about September time frame, but I need to still, do what I'm doing now to put it on market. And once I get it there, but this is all in the process right now. Everything as far as the administration, all that stuff is good to go. I just need to get the program on the road. And yeah, 6 to 9 months, that shouldn't be an issue.
Love it, man. Love it. All right. As always, guys, be blessed, but more important, be a blessing. Take
Yes,
care,
sir.
everybody. God,
Yeah.
God bless. Bye bye.
Okay.